Hey guys, the Firebird is here. My brother couldn't be here today because
You fell down some stairs.
I fell down some stairs.
these are the jokes. I hope you're enjoying them. Anyways, last video I uploaded at Transformers Iceberg, and so far the support for that video has been really good, so people have wanted me to do more icebergs, which I will eventually. If you have any iceberg in particular about, let's say, Transformers Prime, G1, or whatever other Transformers continuity you have in mind, link them to me in the comments down below and I might cover it in a future video. Now for that iceberg video, I also mentioned that all of the topics in that iceberg could be covered in their own separate video, because some of them I had a short amount of time to explain and some of them I went a bit more in depth about. And one of the ones that people were the most curious about was Dark of the Moon Thundercracker, and by quite a few people I mean like only 3. A bit disappointing, but hey, whatever, I'll take what I can get. Thundercracker is a character that's apparently canon to the Bayverse, but at the same time kinda isn't. It's a bit weird, but I'll explain more about that once we get into it. Another iceberg video will come sometime in the future, but I can't say or promise when, because I'm really bad at keeping my promises. But before we begin, in my Discord server we had a small drawing contest, and I kinda shouted out the first drawing contest in my Pacific Rim video, so I still need to shout out the other half, so I'm gonna do that right now. Shout out to Snarpshot, who made this Dark of the Moon Megatron. It looks pretty good. Tado, who made this G1 Galvatron, which I have to admit this looks very well done. Really good. Big Bicky, who made this Scarecrow, I guess. Fred and the Boys, who sadly got kicked from my Discord server for being under 13 years old. Which reminds me, if you're under 13 years old, please don't join my Discord server. Like, I don't want the FBI come knocking on my server. Destroy a Coon, who made this Sub-Zero drawing, which there's something about it that I just like so much. I know it's not entirely, Sub-Zero accurate, but it looks very good. Godlik is nice, who made what I can only describe as a Ditto trying to transform into Killer Croc. And I love it. It's super funny. I love the derpy drawings like this. More of this, please. Also Matsupo, who did the Last Night Barricade, which is very detailed, and I'm a sucker for detailed drawings, so you get extra points for that. It looks very good. Train Lord the Railfan, who made this Nitro Zeus, I guess? I don't know, it's a bit hard to tell. Darth Moose made this Optimus Prime with the tagline "Till all are one." Looks very good. Especially like the Optimus Prime head. I think you did a good job with that, definitely. Diego #Team Godzilla, who made a drawing of Todoroki from My Hero Academia. And then we have the contest winner, Female Sekuno, which she made a drawing of Harley Quinn. Well, it's probably a he, because, there's no girls on the internet. I'm joking, but she made this drawing of Harley Quinn. It looks very good. I really like the colors and like the glitch effect that you have going on for the first one. Looks very good, and out of all of them is the one that I will say it looks the best. So you win, congratulations.
You did it, good job. I can't believe it, I'm proud of you.
Since you won, you can request your own video. If you have anything in mind, just tell me in the Discord server and I might do it in the future. Shoutouts / big ups to you for doing this amazing drawing, and thanks to everyone for participating. We'll do more contests in the future, and if you want to be a part of them, join our Discord server. Anyways, I rambled on long enough about the server thing. Now we can finally move on to talking about Thundercracker. Thundercracker in Dark of the Moon is one of those things that a lot of people get confused about. And when I mean Thundercracker in Dark of the Moon, I don't mean his original Voyager's Thundercracker toy, where he was just basically a recolor of Starscream. I'm talking about the Studio Series one, because the Studio Series one seems to imply that Thundercracker is canon and was part of the Dark of the Moon movie, even though he was never seen on screen. I guess in universe he's actually canon. Now the thing with Studio Series is that Studio Series canonizes some details about the Bayverse. So when Studio Series says that Thundercracker is canon, then you better believe Thundercracker is canon. Or at least more people are willing to believe that. Now, for the longest time, we didn't know what Lockdown's crew was called until Studio Series came out and confirmed that they're called Shadow Riders, and that's the official term for them. Scavenger and Demolisher, for the longest time we thought they looked differently because we had concept art of Scavenger having a more of a white coloration to him. But Studio Series pretty much confirmed that Scavenger and Demolisher look pretty much exactly the same. Studio Series also confirms that Skipjack and Rampage are both compatible with Devastator. Even some of the KSI drones, basically we have their names officially confirmed because of Studio Series. So when Studio Series says this happened, then you better believe it's most likely not canon. Now, when you look at the Thundercracker toy and you look at the backdrop, you can see that he has an aerial view. Like, we don't get to see exactly where this fight's taking place, except that's on the air. Now, the backdrop's something that all Studio Series figures have, which represents the scene that they appear in the movie. For example, Jazz has the Mission City backdrop, Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime has the forest backdrop, Dark of the Moon Megatron has the African backdrop, and so on. Thundercracker here appears in the sky, and we have no clear visibility of, where this fight's taking place in. All that we do get to see is that there's a bunch of jets having an aerial dogfight all over the place. But if you take a look at the back package of the Thundercracker toy, you can actually see the label for the scene this backdrop takes place in, and it says Chicago Aerial Offensive. Now, by saying that, it leads me to believe that this takes place in one of two scenes. A, when the Decepticons are first attacking Chicago and they're throwing their offensive against the city, or B, it could be when the humans are retaliating against the Decepticons that had taken over Chicago. Basically around the scene where Lennox and his Nest team are using the flying squirrel suits to infiltrate the city. So if I were a betting man, I would say that Thundercracker will have most likely taken place in the defense of Chicago. And if you take this theory into account, that will also explain why in the final battle of Dark of the Moon, we don't see that many flyers take center stage or participate too much in the final battle. Sentinel Prime does call those Decepticon flyers, but I mean, where are the human jets? The US Air Force is infamous for the amount of aerial units they have, and the Decepticons are mounting their full-scale assault on American soil, so the likelihood of, human aerial support participating is even more likely, unless they're all dead. Now, at the beginning of the Battle of Chicago, we do get the small scene where human jets are trying to infiltrate the city, but they get really quickly taken down by enemy air support. My guess is that American Air Force is trying to help the Autobots and the Nest forces that have currently infiltrated the city, but the problem is that the Decepticons are notoriously good when it comes to air combat. So Thundercracker is probably one of the many Decepticons that was not only part of the Chicago battle, but at the same time was probably in charge of its aerial defense alongside Starscream before he got killed. This would explain why he was absent in the movie and why he could take part in the Chicago battle, yet, not be shown on screen as getting killed by any Autobot or human. But you might be thinking, but fire! If Thundercracker was supposed to be in Dark of the Moon, why is he using a Nitro Zeus mold? This is something that Studio Series does overall for a lot of their figures, especially the more irrelevant characters like the Shadow Riders, some of the other Constructicons, and the KSI drones. Since those guys are supposed to be generics or characters that don't have that much importance, Studio Series often gets an old, mold that they already made and just slightly rework it and recolor it and say it's a different character. They do this plenty of times too. Since Thundercracker was never seen on film and we don't really have any clear concept art of a finished version of Thundercracker, Studio Series just grabbed the Nitro Zeus mold, recolored it, gave it a new head, and called it a new character. Now, the reason why Thundercracker was also made is because he was supposed to be the last Toys R Us exclusive. Because Toys R Us was going out of business. I think it's still out of business. Maybe he has come back or something. I don't know. I haven't kept up with it. But the point is, they needed an exclusive Transformer for, Toys R Us. Which, I mean, he wouldn't be the last exclusive Studio Series toy. There's a few more exclusives out there. But they needed something, so they came up with Thundercracker. And a character that could include for Toys R Us that wouldn't alienate so many people. That seems to be the excuse or the intent behind him being added into the toy line. But still, even if that's the case, Studio Series did an amazing job recreating Thundercracker. I mean, look at his vehicle mode colors, they're actually really well painted, and they even bothered to give this guy a new head along with a new CGI model. I mean, granted, it's still a rework of the KSI boss, but it's still unique, which is more than you can say for a lot of recolors. So was Thundercracker in Dark of the Moon? I would have to say yes. Like, Studio Series is notorious for making stuff that we long speculated, or characters that names we didn't know about canon. So if Studio Series says that Thundercracker was in Dark of the Moon, then you bet he was in Dark of the Moon. Now, what happened after Dark of the Moon is up for interpretation. Did he get killed after the events of Dark of the Moon once the humans and Autobots were working together again to hunt down the Decepticons? It's possible, really. He might have even gotten killed once the planet was destroyed and he was, transported back to Cybertron along with the Decepticon fleet. That's also a possibility since it's kind of implied that this guy was actually part of the Decepticons that were were stationed on the moon who arrived on Earth by a space bridge. Which honestly I think it's the most likely scenario as to where this guy came from. A character as powerful as Thundercracker doesn't just hide on Earth all the time without doing nothing. I think he was on the moon and he was just waiting for the right time to show up. And the right time just happened to be the Chicago fight. Alternatively, if you don't want to believe that theory, he could also be still alive at the time of the last night. But I think that one's unlikely because why would Megatron want Nitro Zeus and not Thundercracker, who the comics and even some early tie-in material for the first Transformers movie did imply that movie Thundercracker is the second most powerful Decepticon that the Decepticon army had at their disposal. The comics even seem to imply this, but the comics are not really canon to this version, so I won't talk too much about that version in this video. But overall, I would say that after Dark of the Moon, I think he most likely dies. Either that or he's maybe somewhere in space with the Decepticon fleet stranded on a dead Cybertron. That could always be the case, since, you know, apparently if you transport with the space bridge pillars and if the space bridge pillar was destroyed, then everything that got teleported gets sent to the same place. I don't know, the way the Decepticon fleet was destroyed in Dark of the Moon, looking back at it, was kind of weird, because it's like, we destroyed the artifact and everything's going back to normal, and that was it. So it's a bit hard to tell how that will affect Thundercracker, but considering that those other Decepticons around the planet didn't seem to be affected, it's 50-50 to be honest. But when I was recording this video, I couldn't help but to think back to that theory Trans Theories made about Astro Train being in Dark of the Moon. It's a pretty good theory. I actually do like what Trans Theories has the argument for why Astro Train was in Dark of the Moon. But honestly, if I had to choose between Thundercracker and Astro Train to be canon, I think Thundercracker makes the most amount of sense. Like, you can, you know, throw your theory around saying that Astro Train was in Dark of the Moon, which, yes, I mean, it's a good theory, but Thundercracker has an official toy. Studio Series straight up says that he was in Dark of the Moon. This guy is more canon than Astro Train, and I definitely do believe that, even though this guy's a Toys R Us exclusive, and probably you could still make the argument that therefore not canon, the fact that he's in Studio Series, the storyline that in itself is canonizing names, confirming certain things that we have suspected for the longest time, and all about movie character representation, even for some very obscure characters, I will have to say that this guy is canon. Like, he's one of those characters that despite not being in the movies, you can actually legit say that he's most likely canon, that he was part of the movie universe. Which is more than we can say for Skywarp really, who, don't worry, he's gonna get his own video sometime soon, just to keep the secret theme going. And also before I start working on another Iceberg video. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah guys, do you think Thundercracker's canon? Do you think that I'm stretching it a bit and that he's actually not canon? What are your thoughts on the way Thundercracker looks in the movies? I know some people are gonna be upset that he doesn't look like Starscream, but frankly, I'm actually pretty happy that he doesn't look like a Dorito. Wow, fire? That's pretty harsh. Shut up, psychic friend Ratchet! Aww. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. Also, before we end this video, just as I was recording this, Female Suyuku, the contest winner, boosted my server. So, big ups to you. Thank you for doing that. If anyone else wants to donate to my server to receive a shout out, links gonna be in the description down below and in the comments down below. Bye. Anyways guys, before we go, shout out to our amazing Patreon, TrueBlue712, Stitch Productions, Stephanie Ballard, Christopher Prime, Predator King Hunter Plays, Mario Gordon, Allspark Studios, and huge shout out to the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, and to our even bigger Big Balls Patreon, XNooter23, who donated what I can only describe as a amount of money. I'll leave you guys to figure out how much. Thank you guys for your donation. It's extremely generous and extremely appreciated. It helps me keep the show going and feed Squeaker. Thank you guys for your support. I tip my fedora in gratitude and put on my Supreme Gentleman hats in your honor. Link to our Patreon and their channels will be in the description down below for you guys to check out. A lot of these guys actually do Transformers content, so it's worth checking them out, because most likely than not, if you like my content, then you're probably gonna like theirs too. And if you guys want to shout out your subs, all you gotta do is donate to our Patreon. By donating to our Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You get a shout out in my videos, you can collab in some of my videos, you can request your own video topic, exclusive roles on my Discord server. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But keep in mind that it's entirely optional, because freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Anyways guys, thank you so much for donating, it's much appreciated, and if you guys want to donate, you know what to do. And I will see you guys on the next video. Stay safe guys.